on today's talk, Rapunzl Talk, we have Rendel Solomon, financier here in Chicago, and also the founder of One Stock, One Future. So, Rendel, thanks for talking to us today.
Good to be here.
We're going to ask you a few questions. First question is, can you tell the viewers a little bit of your background and how you got into the world of investing? And,
Sure.
Yeah.
Happy to do it. Originally from Chicago.
Okay.
Born and raised on the west side, a neighborhood affectionately known as K-Town. Not the best neighborhood in Chicago, but I had a mother and a father who were focused on education. And so that was our path for me and my sisters to get out of that neighborhood and at least go out and get solid education. So matriculated to Tulane, where I studied engineering after graduating high school here in Chicago. I went to Procter & Gamble, worked as an engineer, and then decided engineering wasn't for me, right? So studied it for 4 years, worked in it for 3 years, and just decided that I wanted to do something else. So I ended up going back to business school, get the MBA, worked in music for a couple of years. So that was the first career transition. And it was kind of random. I tried to pick 3 industries that I thought were cool.
Sure.
Sports, video games, music. Sort of tossed them up in the air, like juggling, and landed on music. Became an artist manager on my own, did that for a couple of years, and then moved back to Chicago after the music industry fell out from under me. I realized that that was not my calling and came back to Chicago to work for my mentor at his private equity firm.
Okay. So, for the viewers, what do you do at your private equity firm, and what is that? Because some people may not know.
I know. I didn't know what it was until 2 days after I started there, by the way. But for folks who watch Shark Tank on television, I always say to people, if you watch Shark Tank, that's my day job. I'm a shark. So we buy and sell companies, and that's the way that we invest capital on behalf of our investors and try to make them money.
So with that being said, how did you start One Stock, One Future? You said you're investing in these companies. What clicked to make you want to go to the philanthropic route?
Absolutely. Always been into philanthropy and education and mentorship. I remember even in high school when we were required to do volunteer work, we had a few options. And I remember looking at tutoring or going to volunteer at the senior citizens home. And the senior citizens thing kind of threw me off a little bit. I was like, the whole toilet thing, emptying the urine. I was like, let me stick with this tutoring education route. I can do that. So that's always been a part of my passion. I've been the head of an associate board for an educational scholarship-focused nonprofit. So it's a combination of my experiences growing up, low income on the west side of Chicago, and seeing how that impacted my family. My own experience with actually not having great money management, especially when I was in graduate school working as an entrepreneur, and how that impacted my own credit and my own finances and the path I took to fix that. And then looking at my current work as a private equity investor and realizing I am now in a world that very few people know about.
Right.
Like very few people know that you can actually go buy a company, help that company grow, and then sell it. And that it doesn't always have to be about the fanciest, coolest of industries. Sometimes it's just stuff that people need, like toothpicks or the cardboard inside of a roll of toilet paper. There are entire businesses that is designed to make just that cardboard that make millions of dollars a year. So when I thought about that entire experience and the spectrum of it, in addition to some of the social events that we see or the civic events that we see happening in our country, I thought this financial education piece is going to be powerful. And even civil rights leaders of the past recognize that, right? We have to fight for policy. We have to fight for social justice. But at the end of the day, you must have economics to truly find yourself at a level playing field.
Right.
And so I decided the best way that I could do that was working with youth, first of all, because they're going to be more receptive to it, I think, at an early age. And I came up with the idea specifically for One Stock, One Futures, because I realized that other financial education programs were primarily focused on theory. And I remember looking at theory being in school and thinking to myself, I don't know what all this theory means. How do I apply this? And so I said, well, why don't I right out of the gate literally give shares to kids? So I thought to myself, I want to turn 1 million youth into public company shareholders. And so I had an experience with my niece where I bought her shares in Nike, Apple, and Disney. Took her to the Apple store, Nike Town, and Disney store and said, Cadence, you own everything in the store now. Everything here is yours. What do you think? She was like, that's cool. Do I get free stuff now? I said, it doesn't quite work that way, Cadence, but we'll see. But then she asked the question, do I make money when people buy stuff? And that's when the light bulb went off, that if I could just literally give away 1 million shares to 1 million kids, that would be the spark to make them want to learn more about investing.
Right.
Wow. So to the question around reactions, it's been everything from jubilance and excitement to like you can see that they start to feel like an owner,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
provide: a sense of hope, inspiration, empowerment, opportunity via this ownership
Right.
in stock. I want them to walk down the street and see the logos of the brands that they wear and the food that they eat
Mm-hmm.
and the stores that they go into, and say, I own that now. I own a piece of that. And maybe that would change their mindset around their behavior, their academics, their education, their prospect for the future.
Right.
And so that was the goal. But I've seen the other end of the spectrum, unfortunately. I've seen the kid that says, I don't care. Like, he still doesn't care. And it's an unfortunate reality that you can't save everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone does not want the same level of knowledge and education and information. So I have to continue to work with the youth that I believe are going to be impacted positively. People ask me, how am I going to get to 1 million?
Right.
So I haven't quite fully figured that out yet. But like you said, it doesn't require me to give away 1 million shares. It requires me to touch enough students in a way and provide shares in a way and provide education in a way that they then go start to impact others as well. So that's the really exciting part about what we're doing. The challenge has been continuing the engagement. So I do a single class where I give a very basic lesson about stock. And just to help them understand what it is. I don't get into volatility and price earnings ratios.
Sure.
I just want them to know they can own a piece of a company.
Right.
And then I donate the share to them. And then I leave. What's exciting about some of the technologies that I've seen out there, including Rapunzl, is that I now have a way to help the students stay engaged in the world of investing even when I leave.
Right.
If a child believes they can do more, if they believe they want more, if they believe they deserve more, then they will work hard for it.
Right.
The minute a child starts to think to themselves, I don't deserve this, this is not for me, I don't belong here, then you've lost that student. So I'm trying to tap into that psychological aspect more so than I am the fundamentals of investing. That's not me. I'm not here to teach investing. There are plenty of people out there teaching investing. What I realize is that there are not enough people making people want to learn investing.
Right. Getting them excited about
Yep.
it. I think that's huge. So before we get out of here, what is something that you want to leave with a viewer who may be wanting to enter the world of investing or is just thinking about planning their financial future? What are some advice that you would leave?
I would tell people, do not be afraid of it. I think the very first step when it comes to managing money is to be vulnerable, be humble, and be present. Be ready to take in the information and understand you are not alone, right? I want investing and money to be more social. I saw a couple of individuals out recently, and they both had Fitbits on. They didn't know each other. And they began talking about their entire nutritional and exercise patterns. They went on for like 25 minutes. Well, how much do you run? What are you lifting? What's your workout plan? That doesn't happen with money.
Exactly. And I mean, with Rapunzl, that's one of the things that we wanted to do is to spark those conversations about managing money because it's or investing because it hasn't been had.
It has not. It's not social.
It's not social, but why shouldn't it be?
And what you're doing is you're making investing and money social, and I think that is huge. That's why One Stock working with Rapunzl is such a natural partnership and a natural connection that it's almost like you fell out of the sky. So I'm going to have these kids that I'm literally going to give shares to. It's only natural that they then start to play around in the virtual world of Rapunzl.
Well, thank you for sitting down with us this evening and having this discussion.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
You got it.
Reach for your goals, hear what you're told, think that you know, see what you're shown, watch it get old, watch it get old.